Hi everyone, welcome to the Parent and Family Orientation video. My name is Chrissy Lind Hunter. I'm the Program Manager for Take Action Lab in Penang. I'm going to take you through some more details of the program and the support structures that we have around your students. Now I'm going to try and keep it short and succinct, so if at any point you need to pause the video to have a look at the details in the slide, please do that, or you can access a copy of these slides in the newsletter. First of all, let me just say a huge thank you from the whole program team. We're really excited that you've chosen to journey with us this way and to support your students to come on our immersive programs. And I hope by the end of the video, you'll feel assured they're going to have a really meaningful experience and they're going to be safe and guided and have support throughout it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Tilting Futures and the team. I'm going to talk you through the Take Action Lab student experience. And as someone who moved to Penang 10 years ago, I'm going to hopefully share a few little tips about what it's like coming here. We're going to look at the health, safety, and community aspects of the program. We have some tips how you can support your student and what we're going to do to support your students, and also about communication with parents and family members throughout the semester. If by the end of this video you've still got some questions or you'd like to book in a one-to-one with myself, you can contact us at takeactionlab@tiltingfutures.org. So just to recap on Tilting Futures, we equip young people worldwide to create meaningful impact on global issues. We believe that immersive learning is the best way to do this. It'll help guide students' personal transformation and give them global perspectives on the things that they're trying to change. Our impact is really positive. We can see from our student data that we feel that by the end of these programs, they can better relate to people of different races, nations, and religions. We see an increase in their hope about the future of the world, and that they feel better prepared to make better use of their higher education experience. Lastly, we recognize that they develop specific skills through this experience, including emotional intelligence, communication, adaptability, creativity, and teamwork. Tilting Futures has had a nice long journey so far. In 2010, we had our first 10 years as a fellowship, in which over 1,000 young people spent a year before college living in local communities across Africa, Asia, and Latin America. In 2020, you may remember the global pandemic hit, and we pivoted to offer the academy fully online instead. This helped nearly 1,500 young people from over 100 countries join in our immersive programs. Finally, in 2023, we came back into the real world and we joined our online program with our in-person program. And we're really excited to say that since 2023, we've been running semesters in South Africa. And that this year, in August 2025, we're starting our new program in Malaysia. So what will this look like? This is Take Action Lab Environment and Sustainability. It's a 12-week in-country immersive learning program. The students will all be aged 17 to 21 from all over the world, and will be based for that time in Penang, in Malaysia, my little island up in the north. They'll experience apprenticeships, structured and informal learning opportunities, and a co-living experience living with students from all over the world. We see these key areas as the things that we'll be developing are related to self-discovery and global orientation. This includes self-awareness, well-being, and a sense of agency. And then interrelatedness, seeing how things are connected, global perspective taking, and building deep empathy. We're really excited that the August 25 class of Take Action Lab has 80 students. We have 35 joining South Africa's Human Rights Program and 45 joining us in Malaysia here on the Environment and Sustainability Program. That's 31 countries represented and over 30 languages spoken. So who is the team that makes this happen? First of all, I'd like to introduce you to Erin Llewellyn, our Chief Executive Officer, and to Elikim Tometi Archer, our Chief Program Officer. The programs team who design these experiences and facilitate them, led by Elikim Tometi Archer, have the Vice President of Programs, Jennifer Lofen-Boyle, Mark Seidel, the Senior Health and Safety Manager, which many of your students have already had a call with, and David Arenas, who's the Director of Global Programs. And who's the team on the ground with your students? There'll be myself, my program coordinators, Fiza Asmi and Lisa Fernandez, and our Visa and Operations Consultant, Alfa Hannis. So what will the student experience be like? Right now, your students are probably in their foundations period. This is 4 weeks online course where we prepare them with the self-awareness and the open learning mindsets they'll need before they come in country. They also learn a bit more about Malaysia, its environment and sustainability background, and what they can come to expect when they come over. When students first arrive, the first week is an in-country orientation. This will be led by myself and the team, as well as our partners, the University of Science Malaysia, and also the Habitat Foundation. This will be really exciting because we get to visit rainforest sites, the public university and will be hosting us, and we'll get to go into the UNESCO heritage area of Georgetown, which is a main part of Penang's city district. Students will also get to live together in a shared co-living experience. We will take time for them to set up agreements and support and to understand each other better as they live together. Once the orientation week is finished, students will join into their apprenticeships. This is typically Monday to Thursdays with a local organization who's making meaningful impact in environment and sustainability across Malaysia, but particularly in Penang. Every Friday, we'll have a Learning Connect. This is not just about new experiences, but actually about learning, making places for them to reflect on what they've understood, what they've learned from their apprenticeships, the leaders that they've met, the communities that they've met, and what's happening in them as well. We have meetups where students will get to have some fun excursions. We'll plan some of them, but also we hope the students will be able to plan some of them themselves and lead us in lots of learning activities. And lastly, we also have the culture series in which students will learn much more about Malaysia. This is a very diverse, beautiful country with multicultural communities. And the food is fantastic in Penang. Finally, it's a reflection week. This will be in December this year. We'll help students reflect on their experiences and how they're going to shape their future journey. Tilting Futures has a few learning theories about the way that we've designed the program. And this one we want to share because we'd like you to help support your student through their ups and downs. What we know from the research is that people generally like to stay in their comfort zones with things that they're familiar with. We don't have to take too many risks in this place, and we always need to have somewhere comfortable. However, if we really want to grow and learn, we need to push ourselves outside that comfort zone into learning zones. Here, we're exploring the edge of our abilities, we're recognizing our limits, and we're humbly thinking about how are we reacting to change or to uncertainty or difference. Now, sometimes when you go to a new place and something unexpected happens, it's quite normal to maybe sometimes be in your panic zone and you might have a stressful day, not being able to know where to get some food that you'd like, that's familiar to you, or perhaps you find that your transport is not what you expected. But in many of these situations, we know that the panic zone is not somewhere we want to stay too long, but we expect in life that they happen sometimes. So when learning is impossible and we feel afraid, we want to make sure students have the strategies and support that they can come back into learning zones and indeed into their comfort zones when needed. The overall program has these units. Foundations is what is the online unit. They're currently doing virtual pre-departure training. In Unit 2, we call that the practicum. This is the immersive in-country experience that includes the apprenticeships and learning connects. Finally, in the final week, we have Unit 3 and 4, where they will be looking back and moving forward, both for themselves and reflecting on what they've seen in Malaysia. And there's an introduction where we introduce them to the transition into alumni. Now, the apprenticeships are one of the most special parts of this program. This is on-the-ground experience working with environment sustainability organizations and the communities that they serve here in Penang. Typically, it'll be 4 days a week, Monday to Thursday, although we do know sometimes some apprenticeships involve some special events on the weekend. The apprenticeship sites that we're working with are really varied and exciting. We have ones related to biodiversity and conservation, climate, business and tech, education and outreach, the arts, culture and heritage, youth engagement, and sustainable tourism. So where will your students live? Here are some images from our co-living in Century Bay. Century Bay is the name of the accommodation apartments that the students will all be staying in, and they'll be staying over 3 floors. Each of their apartments will have 3 students inside. They have their own room with a bed, Some of them have desks and all of them will have cupboards. There's also a desk and table outside in the main lounge area. There are multiple bathrooms, shared kitchen space and appliances, washing machines and a drying rack. There's full-time security at the site. Opposite the entrance is a little kadai, which is a little shop, a little kind of grocery shop. There is Wi-Fi and there's also backup power just in case. And you can see from the images typically what the rooms look like. So health, safety, and community. What we've learned from running our program for many years is an important foundation of our approach is to understand the people that we serve. So our students, we see them as the emerging adult risk profile. They're not adolescents, but they're not quite yet adults, so they're emerging adults. This is the time in their life, as we all remember, where we perhaps push some boundaries and we have some increased risk behaviors as we begin to learn how to function for ourselves and explore our own identities. We're working towards self-sufficiency, independent decision-making that is informed, safe, and healthy, accepting responsibility for oneself, and financial independence. All the things I mentioned earlier about the learning zone versus panic zone, we want to help support with a balanced view of that. We also want to have an approach where if there are violations or breaches where students make mistakes, we can employ some restorative justice approaches. Students become accountable for the things that have happened and seek ways to make reparation and improve. So also the one thing we would say is that we are managing risk. We cannot avoid all risk. And by doing so, we actually need to give students a level of independence and self-responsibility in that risk management. That means for their community behaviors, they also need to commit to themselves and to the community how they will behave, how they function together as a sustainable society. We have minimum criteria for the community, housing, and apprenticeship host organization sites. We want to minimize the risks to health, security, and environment. We want to ensure a supportive living and learning environment that students can help stay in their comfort zones and learning zones. We provide opportunities for engaging with the host community more. We partner with organizations who are aligned to our mission and vision, and they see value in participating in our program. All the apprenticeships that have signed up to work with us, they are doing so voluntarily. And we want to lay foundations for a positive experience between students and host organizations. So as I mentioned before, Tilting Futures' approach is that we cannot eliminate all risks, but we can mitigate, train, and prepare for them. So we have training and orientation for the staff and for all partners that are involved, and of course then with the students as well. There are protocols and policies related to community behaviors, and we have an approach of shared ownership of these with the students. Our guidelines are associated with program housing, the apprenticeships, and what transportation they can use. We have identified medical facilities and providers. We have strong communication systems, emergency response plans, which includes a 24/7 global and student emergency hotline. And we want to make sure that all of our staff and students are aware and informed of the things around them. So it'd be great if you could talk to students about how important it is that they do uphold the policies and protocols whilst they're on the Tilting Futures programs. We want to manage expectations when we're building this community of students from diverse backgrounds. And sometimes they're going to misunderstand each other because we're all different and we all see the world slightly differently. But we can find a place to find common ground. There are examples of policies and protocols related to attendance for all of the mandatory activities, especially the apprenticeships. For independent travel, the first 30 days, we ask students to remain in Penang Island. And we also make sure that once we reach this milestone, we ask that the travel does not interfere with any of the program activities and they go within designated areas where we know that they'll be safe, but also have a really great time. The shared housing policies and protocols make sure that it's independent living space for all students and all students feel safe. For alcohol and drugs, this is not part of the Take Action Lab. And actually, Malaysia has very strict rules about drug use in this country. And we would say very clearly that this would not be something that we would like any student to be involved in and make sure that they're informed of the laws of the country. We also do not tolerate any bullying, harassment, or sexual harassment. In any format, we will investigate these and take them very seriously. Lastly, extreme sports are not part of the Take Action Lab, so we strongly discourage any unnecessary high-risk adventure tourism, especially because we don't think your insurance will cover it. So our goal is to promote student health, safety, and community welfare. Take Action Lab is not a therapeutic program. However, we take mental health support very seriously. Here are some of the things that we take seriously and put into our programs. We'd also like to share that we have identified mental health support providers within Penang who are fantastic and will be available throughout whenever the students need. One of the most important things we want to state is that stigma is the greatest barrier to supporting students in need and to identify mental health challenges for better support. As a result, we are looking for mental health providers who are aligned to Tilting Futures values, who ensure your students feel safe and heard. Tilting Futures has emergencies and incidents protocols. We define an emergency as any situation that requires an immediate staff response and/or overnight hospitalization as an emergency. Students will be informed of an emergency contact, which will be one of our staff anytime at 24/7. And they also have all of the emergency contacts for local medical providers. Our approach to incident support and management, as mentioned before, this is for TAL staff and students shared ownership. We have professional local services and health providers identified. Students have already disclosed health information and have individual health management plans. We believe in timely and honest communication here. Take Action Lab trainings, orientations, weekly meetups, pulse checks, regular check-ins will all support any incidents that arise or have an opportunity for students to share if they're concerned about anything. We also ensure that students have individual travel medical insurance. And of course, we want students' families to be involved if any of the incidents arise. So Tilting Futures has a global emergency hotline. We'll be talking to students before they come about informing their emergency contacts regarding any emergency and/or non-emergency injuries, illnesses, or other situations. In situations where students are unable to make the decisions for themselves, we will contact their primary contacts on their behalf. Especially for students who are under the age of 18, primary contacts will be notified in the event of any emergency as soon as it's possible. If the concern is not an emergency, we normally handle these issues during normal business hours, and there'll be email via email. Preferably, you can email us as well at takeactionlab@tiltingfutures.org. So I mentioned that I moved to Malaysia 10 years ago, and I'm just sharing a little bit more about living here. This is a tropical rainforest and coastal area, and we are a small island in the north. So you can expect very hot, humid weather, which has a rainy and dry season. As a result, I normally recommend to all my friends who come to visit, find the very thinnest linen and cotton clothes that you have and use those. And when you're here, you should get an umbrella because that will help you regardless of rain or shine. This is urban island living, so be aware that there are congestions at commuting time and will help students navigate how to travel around the island. This is a historical trading point, so there's lots of economic migration and development. It's a very diverse city, but it also has a long legacy of traders and visitors from all over the world. We're also a multiracial society with different faith groups and communities that intersect with each other. And our transportation has something called Grab, which is a bit like Uber. There are some local buses, but we will help your students to make sense of what's the best way to travel around. Finally, for the communication with family members, we wanted to share with you the Global Emergency Hotline. Please take a screenshot of this or record this number and put it in your phone. And as always, if something is an incident that is not an emergency, you can email us at takeactionlab@tiltingfutures.org. We also will keep you updated with some highlights about the students' experiences in Penang. So we're hoping to send you 3 or 4 emails throughout the program cycle, and you'll have an update after their arrival. So if you still have any questions, remember you can email us at takeactionlab@tiltingfutures.org. And if you'd like to book in a one-to-one with myself, you can also use that email to set that up. So it just leaves me to say a huge thank you again for joining us. And I really, really hope that this meaningful experience will be something life-changing for you and your young people.